everybody, today I'm going to be tying a pheasant tail with a couple turns of partridge on it. This is kind of a cross between a standard pheasant tail and the North Country fly, sometimes called an Endrick spider. I have a TMC 3761 hook in the vise, this is size 16 with a 2.4 millimeter tungsten bead. You can go a little bigger if you have them. This is the size that I have that fits this particular hook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pheasant tail in here. I use about 4 fibers. You can tie this with a tail, as you're going to see me do, or some guys tie this fly without a tail. I don't know that one way or another is particularly better. It's just how I do it. So I'm going to put 4 turns of pheasant tail in here. I'm going to wrap that in, and then I'm going to go 1 wrap underneath and just kind of splay them up a little bit. Work the thread up here, and then we're going to put in the copper wire. I'm using extra fine copper wire. I don't like to have this too bulky with the ribbing, so I find that the fine wire works best for me. So I'll put the wire up against the bead and then wrap this in. And what you see me do, I'm going to go 1 wrap behind the fibers there, just because I want that rib down at the bottom of the fly. Take this back up to the head. Now we're just going to wrap the pheasant tail. You can use the rotary function on your vise for this if you have one. I'm just going to do it by hand. We're just twisting this up to behind the bead, and we'll tie it off, and then move the rib up. So cut off the excess, and then we'll counter wrap the copper wire. You can see it's just a little bit of segmentation in there with the copper wire, and it also provides a little more durability to the pheasant tail fibers, which can get beat up after you've caught a few fish on this type of fly. So we're going to helicopter off that rib, and then here's where the two flies kind of differ. A standard pheasant tail will use a peacock curl behind the bead, and then with or without some legs. Endrick spider would just put the partridge feather in here without the peacock curl. I'm actually going to blend the two together. I'm going to just put a little peacock here, and really this just gives it a little more natural flash, and also so I'm going to use this trick I've showed you before. I'm going to take 1 counterclockwise wrap of thread around the peacock curl, and what that's going to do is, just when I start to wrap, it's going to just twist those together and give the peacock curl a little more strength, because it, like the pheasant tail, can be a little fragile. So we'll tie that off. What I was saying, the other reason I like to put the peacock in on this fly is it provides a little bit of bulk behind the bead to help the pheasant tail the partridge hackle to stand up better. So what I'm going to be using is English partridge. This is gray. I have the skin here. I'm just going to show you. You want the small feathers up here at the neck for these smaller nymphs. The rest of the back is good for other things, but for these smaller nymphs, you really need to be able to get to fairly tiny feathers. And you can see that the length of the fiber is going to extend back over the hook. We don't want it too long. I'm going to use the same trick that I showed you before. I'm going to actually cut this off at an angle, and then the purpose of that is to give me a little bit of stem to wrap in behind the head, so that this when I wrap the pheasant tail, it doesn't pull out. Sometimes it will, and you just have to go back and tie it in. Hopefully this will hold. I'm going to use the hackle pliers here, and I'm going to just wet my fingertips and work the partridge hackle back, kind of folding it, just to get it to lay back. So we're going to do basically one turn. You can see I got it around there now. I'm going to come in with the thread, lock that stem in, and we're going to reach in there with the scissors and cut that stem off up close. Now you can see that the pheasant tail, the partridge is sticking up. That's good. I'm actually going to try and fold these over a little bit. Put just a couple turns in front there, just get them to kind of point rearward, and then that's the fly. I'm just going to whip finish and put a little cement on the thread. You can fish this fly as a dropper on a big dry. I like to do that, particularly in the summertime, like with a big stimulator. You can fish it as part of as a dropper on like a 2 nymph rig. Do that a lot too. Those are probably my 2 favorite ways to fish this fly. But this is also a good wet fly. When you want to get down a little more, you can use the weight of the bead to get it down further in the water column, and I've caught fish that way too. So very versatile fly. Those of you who follow my blog will sometimes see a little bit of back and forth between Alan, myself, Kirk, ribbing our friend Pete about this fly. He probably fishes this thing better than anybody I know, and probably could catch fish all year on it. So here you have it, the beadhead pheasant tail soft hackle. One of my favorite nymphs and wet flies combined.